What amazing beer adventure do you have planned for 2025? Need some inspiration? Well, I know of a little hidden European gem that is probably not on the top of many people's lists, but it certainly should be. Now, yeah, I know Oktoberfest is the European beer adventure to end all beer adventures. That's for sure. But this place is not too far away and should certainly be high up on your list of beer adventures. So picture this, a beer fountain. Yep, this place has a beer fountain that actually pours beer. And while I was there, I also got to taste some of the local craft beer on offering and have an unexpectedly awesome, amazing, cool experience. And what is this place, you ask? Well, Slovenia, of course. But Slovenia and its beer culture does have some real history behind it. So if you're curious about some craft beers and a little craft beer spot that you've never heard of, then stick around. You may remember the recent beer experience I had at Oktoberfest. But after Oktoberfest, my European, let's just say ultra serious, high in-depth, hard-working beer research trip was not over. So after Oktoberfest and after visiting Germany, I went to nearby Slovenia. Now, if you don't know where Slovenia is, that's okay. It's located about here, somewhere on the map, but that's okay. If you've never heard of it before, neither have these people, or these people, and then these people here sometimes just forget that it exists. So you're not alone. But this little hidden gem of Europe is an absolutely amazing place to go. Now, not even just for the beer, just for the country itself. It's full of breathtaking mountains, the picturesque Lake Bled, which is almost like it is out of a fairy tale. You've got amazing countryside. It's got a very quiet and rural feel, so you can get away from the hustle and bustle and almost, like you've gone back in time almost, but with all the modern mod cons. It's got caves and castles galore. And of course, it's got a rich history being on the crossroads between the Germanic, Slavic, and Romance worlds. And there are even ruins dating back to Roman times. So it is certainly full of culture and an amazing, unique place to visit. But the beer experience there is just as good. So Slovenia contains the Savinja Valley, which is a major hop growing region. And hops for beer brewing have been mentioned in Slovenia dating far back as 1160. And then it was in the 1760s, under the rule of Maria Theresa of the Habsburg Empire, that farmers' associations started to pop up. And then this is when the farming and planting and harvesting of industrial plants, including hops, was really encouraged. And today, the Savinja Valley is a real major hop growing center. And Slovenia is the 5th largest hop producing country in the world. And of course, Slovenia is home to one of the hops that I tend to use the most in my home brews, and that is the Styrian Golding, which is actually a descendant of Fuggle. But I use it a lot in my home brewing, and it comes from this area of the world. Slovenia, along with craft beer, also produces its own mass market beer as well, and the two biggest brands are Laško and Union. Now, my favorite of the two is the Laško. Now, you can disagree with me, maybe you like Union better, but if you do, you're wrong. It wasn't just craft beers at this fountain that I tried either. I also tried some of the other local craft beers that were available in Slovenia as well. So, one of the places that I source craft beer is at the supermarket. Yes, I know you're probably thinking it's probably shit supermarket beer. But no, I think these were legitimate craft beers that were being sold in the supermarket, alongside, of course, the craft beers of the big boys. So with Laško and Union, they also do some interesting stuff, actually. They also make their own sort of craft beer styles as well. So they've got their I suppose, mass-produced lager, which is probably, I'm assuming, is going to be the most popular beer they sell, but they also sell some more craft style beers. So one particular good one was the Union unfiltrated dark beer. That was quite nice, but I think they both also make like an IPA and a pale ale and an unfiltered beer as well, and things like that. Now, for me, coming from Australia, this is a little bit foreign because we don't have alcohol in our supermarket. Well, we sort of do, but it's off to the side of the supermarket. There's a little bottle shop off to the side that you have to go and buy your alcohol from, because we're not allowed to have alcohol in the supermarket. Except we do have a place called Dan Murphy's, which is essentially a supermarket just for alcohol. Makes sense, I know. So these craft beers that I was able to find locally in can at the supermarket, were they any good? What were they like? Well, let me bring you to what I had.
So let's start with the hoppy wonders that I was able to find. So there was Sunset Pale Ale by Green Gold Brewing, a cloudy straw pour bursting with tropical fruit and zesty citrus. A soft mouthfeel with citrus flavours and a resiny edge finish with a moderately bold bitterness. Next was Kramer IPA by BVOG Brewery, an Austrian interloper. It balanced savoury bready malt with bitter citrus hops, finishing with a grassy citrus bitterness that lingers. It was a true bitter bombshell. On the other end of the spectrum was The Third Pill, an IPA by Pelican. It was like an IPA for your chill days, light stone fruit and citrus vibes with a smoother, sweet finish. It was approachable but still delivered that IPA punch. Now, if you're more into the malt, then here's what I was able to find in Slovenia. There was Single Blondie Blonde Ale by Reservoir Dogs. Now this one's all about the sweet fruity vibes, tropical, with hints of some stone fruit balanced with a sweet malty backbone and an almost dessert-like finish. Crowd pleaser, for sure, if you're into the malt. Then there was another Austrian beer that I found, Helles Export by BVOG again. Now, Helles is not a style I've had before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect with this one, but it was nutty, malty, with a hint of peppery spice on the end. A little bit like a comfort food in a beer glass, I suppose. It was subtle yet totally satisfying, and has certainly inspired me to explore this style more. And the final curveball that I found at the supermarket was Walter W by Pelican, an American wheat beer. Certainly not expecting an American wheat beer in a Slovenian supermarket. So it was a bit of a surprise, but it was a bit of citrus and hops cutting through the sharp sour wheat flavours. It was a little bit hoppy, a little bit tangy, kind of left you wanting more. A real standout for wheat beer fans for something a little bit different. And now we arrive at a brewery that I was absolutely dying to explore, Ljubljana. Not only is the name a clever nod to the pronunciation of Ljubljana, the capital, but their beers also pack as much personality as their branding. I planned a visit to the brewery, conveniently located next to the train station. Or so I thought. Turns out it was the wrong train station. So instead, I just settled for their charming beer cafe by the river overlooked by Ljubljana Castle. What a tragedy, right? Well, let's talk about their beers. They had a golden ale that's approachable with its floral and grassy character. Light, refreshing, and perfect for a sunny day by the river. They also have a little IPA. This one's got tropical fruit and is a little bit of a citrus bomb. Light, soft-bodied, with just enough bitterness to keep it interesting. It's like summer in a glass. Then their pale ale. This one ramps up the bitterness a little bit more with lingering fruity and citrus notes. A medium body brew that's versatile and satisfying. And finally, their American IPA. The boldest of the bunch for sure. This one's all about the dank hops, resin, and tropical fruit. Definitely bitter AF. 5 out of 5 for bitterness, or 100 out of 100, whatever scale you use. Certainly makes it a standout for any IPA fans who love that punchy finish. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this beer-fueled adventure, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and a comment below, as a beer sacrifice to the algorithm. I've got more stories, tastings, unique beer experiences, and beer brewing for you on the channel. Trust me, you don't want to miss what I have coming up here at JKB Brewing. Alright, back to this Slovenian craft beer adventure.
Now, there's a small town called Žalec, which is in the Slovenia Valley, which has been quite a pivotal part of the hop brewing history of Slovenia. And quite a lot of hop brewing occurs in and around of Žalec. But that is not the coolest thing of Žalec. The coolest thing about this place is a beer fountain. Yep, just right in the middle of a park, you will find a beer fountain that doesn't pour water, it pours beer. Now, of course, this is seriously cool. I mean, imagine going to the middle of a park and just be like, yeah, there's a fountain and there's beer just comes out of it. Like, that is truly amazing to see. And of course, this is the world's first beer fountain too, as far as I'm aware. Now, of course, I would absolutely love to have something like this here in Australia. But of course, we probably can't have nice things like that because that would just be almost impossible to do. There would be absolutely no way a council would tick that off. So maybe where you are, you can do it. But until then, you should visit this place and drink from the fountain. So how does this fountain actually work though? So off to the side of the main square in the park where the beer fountain is, there's like a little shop where you go and you can buy a glass. And so the glass has a microchip in it. And when you pay, you essentially buy a certain number of beer reloads in it, you know, like 3 beers, 6 beers, so forth. So you take your glass, you then go to the beer fountain, and then there is actually a water bit to the fountain as well. And so you put your glass upside down in the water fountain, press down, and it washes your glass. And then you go and stick it under one of the 6 fountains that are actually pouring beer. The fountain will read the chip in the glass, and if you've got beers left, it will obviously take one of those off and it will pour you a beer. This little pipe duverdaki thing comes down from the fountain to the bottom of the glass and pours the beer. So you probably get, I don't know, about half a glass. So I'm guessing somewhere between 100 and 200 mils potentially. I haven't measured the glass. That's actually maybe a good idea. I should actually see how much beer fits in the glass. But essentially you get half a glass. But before you diss on it, it's not too bad though, because there's 6 beers to try. You can try all 6 for about 11 euros from memory. And when you've gone to lunch with family and you've had more Chinese for lunch than you could probably have in a week's worth of dinner, having little smaller size beer samples is not too bad. But there's 6 beers to try. And so if you get 6 beer reloads, you could try all 6, or if you really wanted to, you could try 6 of one.
One of the most interesting beers that I had at the beer fountain was this green Halle beer, which is essentially a classic lager, as it is described, but hoppy, and also green. I think the green comes from pigment, and apparently this beer has cannabis in it. Interesting. This beer certainly did have a very unique flavour about it, something that I couldn't quite put my finger on, and I suppose the cannabis explains it. Though I'm not sure whether that is potentially a misinterpretation or mistranslation of hemp, because I certainly did not feel high after drinking that beer. But it did taste very good though, certainly very unique with a very interesting flavour. And it was very easy to drink as well. So fun fact, before they grew hops on the modern trellises that they used to use these TP things. Now you know.
So what I want to know though is, what's the most unique beer experience you've ever had? Now for me, this beer fountain is way up there. I've never experienced anything as unique as this. But what about you? Is there something from your part of the world that's ultra cool that we should all know about? Let me know in the comments below and share the greatness of these amazing craft beer experiences with us all. I absolutely love my time in Slovenia. Now for me, it does have a very special place to my heart. So I have a grandparent who's from Slovenia. And as a kid, looking through the pictures of the place, and you see a place like Lake Bled, which is like out of a fairy tale, so unique, and combine that with some of the other unique natural phenomena and the countryside and the quieter rural feel that it has compared to some of the other European countries, it does feel like you know, you're in your own private little getaway. And of course, seeing distant relatives always adds to the fun of the adventure. But of course, the craft beer there was really good to try. It's really exciting when you can go halfway across the world and just pick a bunch of craft beers to try, and you're like, wow, you know, no idea what to expect, you know, no idea what the local craft beer scene is like there, and just pick some random beers and try it. It's quite exciting to see what you're going to get. And of course, the beer fountain, just a really unique experience, and one of those things that you can say, yep, I've done that. Really cool. So for me, great place to visit. Got some unique beer experiences there to enjoy. And of course, the beer history there as well is quite rich and deep, and I've not done anywhere near any justice to really going into the culture, the rich culture and history of the beer culture in Slovenia and Slovenia in general. So I've definitely not fully done it justice, but it should definitely be high up on your list of considerations for your amazing craft beer journey for 2025. Now, while you are planning your amazing craft beer journey for 2025, you should check out this video.